Welcome back, fellow armchair generals, to my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 4 with Black Ice 8. No, just Black Ice, sorry. This is Gamer1745 here. Let's continue this. And last episode we were wondering, join wars. Do we want to join wars? The British now. I think we do. And I think we may also call Portugal to arms as well, because Portugal has a significant army down here. Don't know how well it will do against everything there, but well, let's bring in Spain right now. Yes. That way we can keep pushing here.
Ausrücken! Bereit! Ausrücken!
Now let's take Dar es Salaam. We're going to attack here
Ausrücken!
to re-link up with our Panzer Division there. And we're taking that point.
Bereit!
Okay, that's what we've been waiting for. Now, we have the Focke-Wulf, a long time before that. Not a huge amount of time, but some time. $30 days, that'll be quick, so we'll do that. And I think we're still producing naval bombers somewhere up here in the list. I like the double rows. I mean, it just means things get a little more lost in there. Wish we a little more, well, don't know, because priority for the resources here, which is an important, here we are, important sort factor. We've got lots and lots and lots of these. Oh, well, before we do that, stop this. Let's just go here. And since we have a decent amount, and I sort of saved it for this, for the Condor, let's see what we can do here. Now, the Condor was a good aircraft. It had a very good long range. It was well built, but, and I say well built as in sort of the German sense that it's done well, but it had a weak airframe. So a lot of the damage that they suffered was on landing, coming back from, well, I guess any sort of landing, and I think because they took the standard passenger plane, and if you want to achieve, and it was designed to be a transatlantic flyer, I don't think it could do the transatlantic hop in one, you know, non-stop, but I think it, you know, out of Germany, land maybe in the Azores, or I don't know if they were going to Iceland or Greenland at the time, but they were designed to maybe make a few stops, but get across the transatlantic and do it well, and not have to worry about, because some of the early including German transatlantic flights were the flying boat types, like the Pan American China Clippers, big ones. Those could go a very long range, though they did land in places like Wake Island to refuel. The Germans generally weren't that long legged, so they had one or more ships sitting out in the Atlantic, and the aircraft would fly out there, find the ship. They'd have to be able to meet each other, land in the ocean, and generally the back of the ship had a ramp designed to pull the aircraft up on it to it, and pull it up on there, refuel it, and then so it has to be calm enough seas to do that. That whole operation, trust me, anywhere in the Atlantic can get rough enough that would be a real significant difficulty, if not impossible at some states. Pull them up there, refuel them, then let them slide back into the ocean, and then take off. These transatlantic flights weren't so much your standard passenger flight. I don't really imagine. I do believe they carried passengers, but it was more of a mail airplane that also had some, I don't know, 6, 8, some sort of passenger seat number, where this was designed to fly long distances in relative passenger comfort. Obviously it's purely a land takeoff and landing aircraft, so a reliability factor had to be thought into that, because a lot of passengers, a lot of people liked the seaplanes, even if they were flying to areas that could have or did have standard airports, set up runway type things, but they would still land in the ocean because a lot of them weren't amphibious. They were purely seaplanes, because the passengers were worried that, well, what if one or more of the engines conk out on the way there and they've got to land? Well, if they can land there on a flying boat, they're still in a boat, and so long as it isn't too bad, too rough, they can sit out there for a few days, and with batteries and their wireless to say, we're out here, some ship come and get us. That was very much in passengers' minds. It was not until really starting post-war was primarily long-distance air travel across oceans moved to non-flying boats, and not just seaplanes are planes that have floats on them, generally speaking. Flying boats are aircraft that the hull itself is sort of a boat-shaped thing and can land they can land in rougher oceans or seas and stay afloat much longer in adverse conditions, as long as they make a reasonably gentle landing and not crack up. So, but to get the long range out of them, you want to build an aircraft that was lightweight, save weight. So that's part of their spine, and other elements were a bit weak because of that design flaw. And I don't know that the Germans ever really corrected it. And of course, once you're still wanting to do a long-range operations, you want to be able to fly out there and then come back and have time out there. So you've got to have a lot of fuel on board, and which also mean, extended fuel tanks, and of course your bomb loads. And often you're going out there, you're not finding a target, and you're coming home, so you don't want to waste the expense of dropping your bombs just in the ocean. So you're coming back heavily loaded, and you're landing with heavier loads than the original design for the aircraft on it. So that's why they're having a lot of trouble. So it was a good aircraft. I will wow, did this? No, that doesn't affect range here. Okay, good. So max speed, will help it avoid some attacks, get better agility. Really don't know that we need it too much gunned up. Whatever, let's do that. Better air defense. Air attacker defense. Okay. Didn't know exactly what we would be able to do. Okay, shut that down so we make sure that we come up here. Where is it? Here we go. We're going to convert this over to the Condor C3A. My improvements there. And because I don't want to take all the resources away from other, things needing fuel, oil, whatever, we're going to start a second line down here. And expand that a bit. There we go. So we'll get those. Obviously, this take a lot longer to build up, but like I was saying, it doesn't take away fuel even from ships, but we will get some production out there eventually as it gets more efficient. So yeah, as you can tell, I like the Condor, though I do recognize its weakness. Good, took out a sub. Took out another sub. And once we get a bunch of those in operation, okay, we're winning both of those battles.
Zuhören!
Now, here, okay, well.
Bereit?
Yep. Let's drive north of here.
Ausrücken!
So you've concentrated to try to defeat this attack here, but this will show them that they don't really want to do that. Alright, we're driving right for Lagos, good, because even if it is a long supply, we'll at least be able to get supply there. Supply route.
Ihre Befehle? Ausrücken!
You support the attack. Good. Good, now that we are.
Befehle! Zuhören!
I don't think with what we have we can cut those off. Let's threaten it nonetheless.
Befehle!
These guys
Ausrücken!
are shattered, so let's see, can we get across that river? Not in a victorious state. Well, they came back.
Zeigt es ihnen!
We took their port, but we're going to retake.
Ausrücken!
Okay, dispersed industry. Great. Okay, well. See, I want that for greater resources, 10%. So that's... We need to do this now.
Ihre Befehle?
Okay, well, let's see if we can overrun these retreating units, but at least squeeze them out there. I think these guys are going to see if Von Thoma's going to go back to Spain and see if we can take Gibraltar.
Abstand halten!
Okay, you're still in the fight. Good. Okay. Foreign SS units. Okay, let's read here. Well, let's see. Himmler initially in 1934 set stringent requirements for recruits. They were to be German nationals who could provide their Aryan ancestry back to 1800. Sorry, 1800. Boy, I'm not reading that well. Unmarred and without criminal record. Recruits had to be between the ages of 17 and 23, at least 5 feet 9 inches tall. Okay, recruits, we don't need all of that. For the leap standard, had to be a little taller, 5'10". Recruits were recruited to have perfect teeth and eyesight and provided medical certificate. By 38, the height restrictions were laxed. Up to 6 dental fillings were permitted. As if bad teeth were a genetic thing. And eyeglasses for astigmatism and mild vision correction were allowed. Now, of course, Himmler wore glasses, so you know, the hypocrisy there. Once World War II in Europe commenced, the physical requirements were no longer actively enforced, and essentially any recruit who could pass the basic medical exam was considered for the Waffen-SS service. Following the campaign in the West in 1940, Hitler authorized enlistment of people perceived to be of related stock, as Himmler put it, to expand the ranks. A number of Danes, Dutch, Norwegians, Swedes, and Finns volunteered to fight in the Waffen-SS under command of German officers. Non-Germanic units were not considered to be part of the SS directly, which still maintained a strict racial criteria, but rather were considered to be foreign nationals serving under command of the SS. Yes, that's there's, and you can look at all the division distinctions. Look at them. There's Waffen-SS division, and then there's Der Waffen-SS division, division of the Waffen-SS. It's sort of you know, one is a, you know, an SS division, the other is a division of the SS. So meaning, like they say, sort of under the command of Waffen-SS. It's a bit more than under the command, but it's sort of like, I don't know. It's a distinction, maybe without a difference to some degree, but to a point, and to a point, this also, you know, the sort of post-war apologists and others, some people didn't have a choice to go into the Waffen-SS and these other units. They were drafted in. A lot of the Baltic states people were drafted in with a literal sort of rounding up drafting situation. Others, like Denmark, actually joined the Anti-Comintern Pact more or less voluntarily, and allowed a of current serving active duty Danish soldiers. They the government allowed the Germans to recruit volunteers out of that group for a Danish unit to go serve and fight on the Eastern Front against the communists. And the initial understanding was that they were going to wear their Danish army uniforms and be part of the Danish army. I don't know if officially Denmark declared war on the Soviet Union for that, but basically when they all showed up in the training camp, somewhere I think around here, this was well after the invasion had started, you know, so either late 41 or early 42, I forget the exact date on that. They were given Waffen-SS uniforms and basically given no choice. You were now in the Waffen-SS, and this was, of course, since they were related peoples, part of the SS. Whether these soldiers ever actually joined the SS or not. See, there's a distinction there. All the police in the German Reich were under SS control, but they weren't all members of the SS. The Polizei, or the police divisions, and they were, there was, of course, the SS police division that we have roaming around here somewhere, but these were other units. Now, all the generals, to my understanding, commanding of the Ordnungspolizei, if I'm butchering that, hopefully not too badly, the order police that was sort of started making up these police divisions. These are policemen that were carrying rifles and did have supporting artillery and such, but they were basically anti-partisans internal security divisions. It wasn't until the collapse that they started to have any frontline service, but they definitely had parts, including like I think in Yugoslavia and some of the other significant anti-partisan campaigns. So they were combat units, but they weren't frontline combat units. All the members were police, but I believe all the generals were also generals in the SS, not Waffen-SS, but the SS. And so some of them, for Hearts of Iron 3 and looking for divisional generals, I very much looked for pictures of them in their police uniforms, because sometimes I could find pictures of them, some of the more famous ones, in their SS uniforms or in their police uniforms. Now they had an SS badge on their police uniform to sort of give that distinction, and so that you might find some other officers within that organization that also were SS men. So while serving with those units, they had to wear the police uniform, but they had a badge that showed that they were SS, members of the SS. So there were a lot of these Danes. They never joined the SS as in, the Schutzstaffel, as in the political party. They were not even necessarily, members of any sort of National Socialist Party in Denmark or in Germany. So that these members were in there. So there is that distinction that I'll give them. Now, that doesn't mean that they weren't party to war crimes in the East. I don't know, like say the Danish units that soldiers were serving, specifically whether they were involved in war crimes or not, but they were obviously part of a criminal organization, because the SS was a criminal organization, but they didn't have any choice. Now later recruits, 43 and onwards, say in Denmark, they knew they were, because there was a lot of propaganda posters and news articles and a magazine that was being published showing this off. They knew they were joining the Waffen-SS to go fight the great Bolshevik crusade. I don't know how, and of course they were being indoctrinated into the racial theories of Nazi Germany, how much they believed in that, or just simply the great anti-Bolshevik crusade. Obviously, mostly after the war, they wanted to make it out as, hey, we were just fighting the evil communists. That's all we were doing. I would say it's more than that, and the great bulk of them were fighting, who had joined after the initial one, so they knew they were joining the Waffen-SS. They knew what the SS was. I have much more sympathy for the peoples of the Soviet Union, because they hated the evil Stalin and communism, and especially you look at in Ukraine under Stalin, there was a lot of starvation going on, organized famines by Stalin and the communists, and so they hated, there's cannibalism going on just because it got so bad in the Ukraine at that time. And then of course recently independent Baltic states, they wanted to fight to get their country independent. Now whether they were going to be independent or not, or as a puppet state, or what sort of status, I don't know long term what the Nazis thought. They definitely had, some of the Nazi hierarchy had a higher opinion of the Baltic state peoples, whether that just meant that they were going to be their own Reichsgau or something as part of the good Aryan type peoples, but non-independent, but organized themselves within their own thing, or whether they were going to be independent, I don't know. But they were put into a bad situation. Bad guys on both sides, especially in the Ukraine, because the Germans treated the Ukrainians maybe not quite as bad as the Stalinists did. You sort of look at the a lot of the post-war stuff and how the Germans treated it. It's all they were, they invaded, they were cheered on as liberators, and then they came in and stole all the grain and stole all the stuff and shot all the, did the sort of, there was a partisan attack, well, let's go to the nearest village and shoot 50 people or something. And they did things, or hang them, or whatever it was. They did stuff like that. And so turned out the Nazis were worse. No, if you look at in the 20s and particularly in the 30s, before the war broke out, the Stalinist communists were probably worse than the Nazis ever treated the Ukrainians. Not that the Nazis, and if any Ukrainians are watching me, not that I'm saying that the Nazis treated the Ukrainians well. It's just degrees of bad. You know, there's bad, very bad, extremely bad, even more bad. You know, I mean, we're talking, they're treated them bad. So the people that were trying to fight in and amongst the great, you know, cataclysm of war and conquest and stuff, let's, you know, try to, you know, and, you know, what are we going to do? What side are we going to be on? I give those people a lot bigger pass for being involved in the Waffen-SS. Now, of course, they also committed war crimes themselves, but once you've had a lot of war crimes committed against you by the Stalinist regime, you may be very willing to commit war crimes against other people that you see as supporting that Stalinist regime. So, you know, evil begets evil. You know, it's not excusing the war crimes, it's understanding the conditions that prevailed at the time. And again, that doesn't make it right, doesn't make you know, that they did good, or if your grandfather or great-grandfather was involved, doesn't mean that he did good. No, he just made the choice that he made in a very bad time. You know, that's how I look at the stuff, you know, looking back at that. When you have, you know, this is different than sort of the Ustachi in former Yugoslavia, that they were just gleefully butchering people in death camps. And these weren't Jewish, these were more, you know, Serbian, well, some of them were Jewish, but Serbian and other sort of ethnic groups, you know, really sort of bad stuff going on there. So yeah, some of them were, you know, the death camp kind of people that were just doing great amounts of evil. I'm talking more about the security apparatus and those that volunteered to fight the Soviet Union. They were picking, you know, in hard times, picking what they thought the best choice was. So we have event and other event, actively recruit. Okay, we want to do this. I don't know what that event is, but we'll go with this one. Okay, great. And we have an anti-aircraft upgrade. And that I wanted to get to here, so we do better anti-aircraft. Guns, production, and national focus. Now we can do this, which is nice. 35 is a bit long, but I want to do it for this. I'm hoping we'll get some good units out of this, as well as greater manpower. You can look up here, and housing, dispersed industry. Housing is improving it, dispersed industry is reducing it. Maybe it'll appear up there. Oh, Waffen-SS, 1.5%. Okay, great. Now, because I just saw this down here, Western Knowledge, I quite honestly had missed it until just now, you know, or a while ago. We're going to do war with France, just because we need to do that there, even though we're at war with France. That should have been a bypassed one and allowed. I want to get even more slots.
Ihre Befehle?
Okay. Well, we gotta go around. Let's go north.
Ausrücken!
Back there.
Vorrücken!
No, we're not gonna get cut off. Oh. Well,
Angetreten?
what do you want to do? Expeditionary force. Slovakia. Yeah, sure. Building
Zuhören!
we should.
Achtung!
No.
Ziel anvisiert.
Don't know, we'll wait for some of these guys to get a little closer there. It's still going well. Now, what I want to do here is
Angetreten.
we'll put all these guys on board ship here and hotel here is good.
Bereit zum Ausrücken.
Thinking about invading this.
Ihre Befehle.
I don't know if that gets me banned for Paradox or anything like that.
Ausrücken.
I invade Sweden.
Ausrücken.
Or maybe it's only if I invade Sweden and win. That could be it. We do have a fair number of Swedish viewers. Hi guys. At least that's what my stats show me, so.
Bereit zum Ausrücken. Bereit zum Ausrücken. Ausrücken.
Now we're going to continue.
Ihre Befehle.
And they retreated out. Okay, well.
Angetreten. Zuhören.
Well, we're going to end the episode there. I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank you for liking the videos, of course, and please post questions, comments, suggestions, ideas. And hey, if you got a historical correction, particularly to something that I said, I do appreciate it if you post it, because I learned from it, and I don't remember everything in my head, and I don't, have a script or anything, so I try to, go from memory and do it. That's why I call this commentary, because when I mod and do the descriptions and do all that stuff, I work very hard to make sure it's historically accurate. But when I'm just talking here, it's not quite that hard nailed down. So it's my sort of thoughts on history as opposed to solid historical. So see you next time for more Hearts of Iron.